Do you think Joaquin Phoenix is a little miscast in this?
I mean, he was doing a perfect impression of my oldest brother, so I don't know.
why, why is that relevant? You have to tell
No,
me.
no, just for me.
I finally watched. I finally watched.
I
Finally
watched. I
finally
watched.
I finally watched.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of I Finally Watched. I'm Alon.
And this is David, and today we finally watched Inherent Vice.
So
Sort of.
this episode is kind of like a recon. It's a recon episode for the fact
Retcon?
that
Is it a ret? Is it a retcon? What do you mean recon?
retcon?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah,
retcon. You're right.
there we go.
This is a retcon of me saying recon. The retcon is because we've actually both watched this a couple years ago, but it was the first time for someone else's podcast that we were doing all PTA movies for. And this was lumped into that. But we're still counting it as our first time watching it for this podcast.
I
A
don't
little
know
bit of
why
a
you feel
loophole
like
there.
I don't know why you feel the need to be so honest that you have to tell people that. So first of all, I remembered so little of this movie that it felt like a first watch.
The only thing I remember that really stuck with me was Martin Short in this movie,
Didn't remember him at all.
and there was a really great line in this movie where okay, it was more than a line. It was like a it's like a whole ass scene, but it was a phone call between Joaquin Phoenix and Josh Brolin, and he goes, "She's gone, man."
Yeah.
He goes, "What do you mean she's gone? She disappeared. She's gone or she disappeared." Like that. That is the best fucking scene in this movie.
This is, so PTA's, kind of big break, not break, but like the thing that kind of put him on the map was Boogie Nights, right? Which is a very, very funny movie. And then goes on a little bit of a run of doing more like he does Punch Drunk Love, which is has comedic moments, like very, very funny moments, but I think is pretty serious. But then like There Will Be Blood and The Master, like almost no comedy. And so this is like almost like a return for
And
him. This is
Phantom Thread had absolutely no comedy.
that comes after this. This is 2014. And so
It's a return, but then he goes back to being completely serious. I would also say this is like an inverse Boogie Nights,
I
where
love the fact that you said something that was wrong, but then used it as an opportunity to just interrupt what I was saying.
uh, welcome to the podcast.
Have you
But
met me?
yeah, what I was gonna say is that Boogie Nights is like comedy, but sprinkled in a lot of serious issues. And I would say that this movie is pretty serious with a lot of sprinkled in comedy.
Honestly, the seriousness is kind of sprinkled in though, right?
You think so? I don't, because okay, you could say with One Battle After Another, where it's pretty serious with comedy sprinkled in, and I felt like that with this.
Yeah, but I mean, like, like the only parts that I really felt were serious were like, I mean, so I'll start it like this, right? I mostly, when people are like, oh, I have this theory about this movie of like, it's all a dream or whatever. I did wonder with this movie, like, how much of this are we supposed to think is actually real?
I think we are supposed to think that a majority is real, except for a few things that I think we're supposed to be confused about. Is that going on in his head or not?
You talking about Sortilege?
Sortilege, and then the last meeting with Shasta, where she's like naked for 90% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that part I think happens, but to me, it was a question of the end scene. So this is a Thomas Pynchon book, which I'm not well read, so I've never read any of his books. And in the end of that, I think it has a much more dour, takeaway from the what happens to Shasta from what I was reading. In this, when I saw that scene, I was like, "Oh, this is fake. This didn't really happen. They're not back together or whatever." And I was reading someone say like, "Oh, this is a much more ambiguous, but like it leaves you with like a, I guess, hopeful a little bit that like I don't know if she's okay or they get back together or whatever." I confused about that part of it because I thought the whole point of the movie was him like getting over her, and like that's the sex scene was like the final goodbye, right? Because she's
in
like,
his head.
no, well, I thought it happened.
Oh, I thought that happened in his head.
I mean, I thought like the scene with the cops, like how much of that was real, right? Like, because that's seemed very psychedelic.
What about
The
his meeting at the very end with Josh Brolin?
Yeah, like is Josh Brolin just eating a shit ton of weed? Like I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
that
yeah.
felt fake, which that felt unreal, and so then everything after that, I was like, also, is this real? But he's so. I mean, so this is the perfect example. There's like a scarcity of dope in California, and so they use a Ouija board that gives them a telephone number. That telephone number turns out to be a real number that potentially could be the cops, I guess, and they go get dope. I mean, how is that real, right? And then he remembers this time that he had forgotten because Shasta writes him a note about it. And then he goes back there, and what was an empty parking lot is now the headquarters of the Golden Fang.
Right.
So this I wanted to start off by saying this movie reminded me. I mean, we talked about like Chinatown, things like that. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right? Because of just the time period and everything. This movie reminded me a lot of Tenet in that I think when I watched both of them the first time, and I sort of count this as my first time, I was wrong footed in like what I was looking for, right? Because this is kind of a classic noir, but not really. The mystery is very kind of unimportant.
It's a psychedelic noir.
Correct, but like the point of the movie is his relationship with Shasta more than it is like figuring out what happened to Mickey. Like he finds that out and it's like not even a big deal, and then he finds out about these drug guys and it's like, but he doesn't really care about these drug guys.
But what's the mystery? What's the mystery? Like, what even is it? I understand that it's
What
not
happened to
important.
Mickey? That's
But
the mystery.
okay, so she's sleeping with me. Oh, okay. So she's sleeping with Mickey. She gets wind of this plan from Mickey's ex, who, by the way, when you think of or like look up the word MILF,
Oh my fucking goodness. What?
it's that woman.
Okay. Good to know once again.
Just to tell you,
Just thought
the
yeah.
the the whole scheme, right? It's like pretty basic scheme of wife trying to get her husband's fortune with ex or with with like current younger boyfriend or whatever. They try to rope Shasta into that. She tells Doc, dude goes missing. He goes to the insane asylum, loony bin thing. But everything that happens and that unfolds after that, I am like so confused on how that fits into the bigger picture of stuff with one, obviously the Golden Fang, but that's probably the thing I understood the most. Two, Owen Wilson's character Coy, like what the fuck is going on there?
I mean, that's a
And
side story.
also, but all the Aryan Brotherhood
Those
guys,
that's the Golden Fang. They're working for the Golden Fang.
but I thought they were working for
Mickey?
Mickey, and then uh, oh my god, what's her name? Yakima,
Who's
Jacoma,
Yakima?
the blonde bimbo teen who is like getting her
Oh,
teeth redone with Martin Short.
they're not working for her. She's just a druggie.
No, but her father.
He's the lawyer for them. He works at Kruger Voorhees.
Yeah, dude, but that whole thing, I was just like,
That guy also in Tenet.
yes, you're right.
He's the guy who says there's a phrase mixed with a hand signal.
Yes, I recognize that. Also, the way they introduced him in this was kind of like you think he was going to be a bit of a bigger actor than he was.
I was happy to see him.
No, but that whole thing on Unfold, I understand how noirs work like that, right? Like everything he does is interconnecting. But I was trying to understand after, and maybe you can tell me, after the wife and the boyfriend try to rope Shasta into the ploy, how does Shasta keep like how is she relevant to the rest of this?
She's the reason Doc's investigating it.
No, I know, but she went missing afterwards?
Yeah, she was put on the Golden Fang and told basically to stay away from Mickey. By
By
either
who?
Well, so I think this is why probably like multiple viewings would be helpful. So I think like a lot of this is all related. What you're supposed to get out of this is that like the Golden Fang, Mickey is involved with him, I believe. The Golden Fang also sort of works under the allowance of the FBI. Like they allow them to do what they're doing and sort of turn a blind eye to it. Which is
Because
also,
the loony bin is also owned by the Golden Fang.
but I thought at one point we also thought it was owned by Mickey too. Like he had started it.
Don't say that, because that even confuses me more.
How he got put in his own place.
Yeah.
Well, I think he got put in his own place by the FBI. I think the wife and boyfriend probably drugged him into oblivion. And so then the FBI, that's why they were at the house, because they want him to own a casino in Vegas because
Right.
he's like whiter than all the mafia guys, I guess. He's like a proper American to own one. But yeah, like so the Shasta part of it is simply because that's what brings him in. I think the Golden Fang, I mean, so the Aryan brothers work for Mickey. He gets taken. I think they also maybe they're freelance, but I think Mickey is involved with the Golden Fang. Like I think he makes some of his money that way. The one thing about this movie, like so a noir sort of sets things up in a slow burn way, starting at the beginning so that you like can figure out the mystery as you go along and so that it kind of makes sense. There's this scene with Josh Brolin, the pancake scene, where he's like, more pancakeo to the Japanese guy who speaks fine English. And he gives so many fucking names. He's like, Coy had a dealer named Drano who was killed by a guy named this. And you find out that guy killed Bigfoot's partner. Like there's so much thrown at you that it's like, all right, well, it was like, does any of that even matter? And it is like the end of the movie, right? Like Puck
It matters once you realize that his partner was replaced by Adrian.
Killed.
And replaced.
No, he wasn't replaced.
Adrian becomes Bigfoot's partner.
Absolutely not.
100%.
The cop that walks by Bigfoot is like, oh, is this your new partner? When Doc is sitting there, he doesn't have a partner. It's in the movie. It says he hasn't had a partner
because Adrian killed him.
Yeah, Adrian killed his partner.
But he's working with Adrian at the end, right? Or is he just stealing the dope?
No, he's fucking over Adrian. He's hoping that Doc kills Adrian.
That's a lot of faith.
I think I don't know. I don't know what Bigfoot's plan was in all of this. I think maybe to get a big score so he could start getting movie roles again, I guess. It's also kind of an LA Confidential connection.
That's true too. Another Nolan connection is that Mickey is played by the mafia guy from The Dark Knight.
Eric Roberts.
Yeah.
Related to Julia and Emma.
Who?
The mafia guy from The Dark Knight.
I'm just saying another Nolan connection.
So this opens with Shasta stopping by, and we get all this information. She's with Mickey. We find out from the narrator, right? Sortilege. And I was going to say, before I was kind of reading up on this and realizing I need to watch this movie 5 more times, that I found the narration to be a thing that you could probably get rid of. I disagree with that now. I disagree with my point.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, I always took it like she was the voice in his head, right? She was like his
Correct.
Jiminy
I don't think
Cricket.
she's a real person.
Right. Because he even shares, he says something to Shasta like, where Sortilege wouldn't have liked that or something. Like
Yeah,
she
and
knew who she was, but maybe she was a real person, but she died.
well, so there are a couple times where she is in the car with him, and then the camera cuts and he's pulling into where he was going, and she's not in the car anymore.
Sortilege.
Correct.
Yes.
Which, so I mean, it's a big fucking clue, right?
No,
Obviously, it
but
means
that's what
something.
I'm saying. I don't think she's real in the present time of this movie, but it doesn't mean she wasn't real before.
So she in the book apparently is a very minor character that PTA adapted in this to basically regurgitate some of like the Pinchon writing word for word.
Okay.
So knowing that after the fact, I was like, okay, I like having that in there, right? Like I at first was like, oh, I don't need someone explaining the movie to me, but I do like that he was I
You know what
Pinchon.
I like? You know what I like about it? I like it more than that noir trope where you hear the main character's consciousness narrate it, being like, and then the woman in red walked into my office and I was
Yeah.
blown away. Like that sortilege narration beats that.
Well, so what I was going to say is Pinchon's novels. This is this is the only one that's ever been adapted as of the time this was made, and I think many years after. I don't know if anyone has recently. PTA tried twice previously on other books to adapt them, and it was just like it's literally impossible. So I think his love of the author, he was like, how can I like respect what was written, but at the same time make like a good movie? And so in that respect, I respect the decision to like have the narrator and have like that information be put in there. Because this movie is also like, I compared it to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's also kind of like a period movie, a vibe movie, a hangout movie, right? Like it's being with this people at this time in their life more than the mystery.
Sure. No. Right. That I understand that. The mystery is second to the character's motivation. Something that kind of held me back from being 110% in this movie, and maybe you feel this way too. Do you think Joaquin Phoenix is a little miscast in this?
I mean, he was doing a perfect impression of my oldest brother, so I don't know.
why, why is that relevant? You have to tell
No,
me.
no, just for me. No, I don't think he was miscast. It did throw me off because the only other time I've seen him with like long hair like that is Arthur Fleck from the Joker. And so that was like
Uh,
confused, like, you know what I mean? Every time I saw it, but he didn't have those fucking mutton chops going on.
why does your brother act like a drugged out detective from the 70s?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Okay. All right. That's his vibe. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah. It is. It's spot on.
The the I don't know, the thing that was holding me back a little bit was just like a little bit his age, but I think that always bothers me with Joaquin Phoenix. Is I feel like whatever they put him in, they're like, oh, he's because I think in the Joker, I think when we did that, we discovered that he was supposed to be like 28 or something, and Joaquin Phoenix is definitely not 28 in that movie. But I feel like for this movie, it would have been a little better if it was a bit more of a younger guy for this.
Well, I mean, in this movie, he was 40. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility if he's even playing like a mid-30s guy. That's not a big jump to me.
He looks, and I think maybe this is just part of the character, right? Is like you're supposed to look fucking beat,
He's done a lot of drugs for a long time.
never dope.
Did he never do dope?
He said the thing that Shasta liked about him is that he was a drug addict that never got hooked on dope.
So the term dope has always confused me because like I dope means heroin, right?
Oh, dude,
Or
I
does,
don't know.
or does dope mean weed? And
No,
then
he smokes a lot of weed. He even snorted whatever Martin Short poured over his desk. So I don't know.
the
So he
word
definitely
dope
does
is
coke.
the word dope is a highly versatile slang term, so not
Well,
helpful at
you have to
all.
look in the context of the 70s.
Well, so dope to me when he said, "Oh, we never do dope," is heroin. But then Soda Ledge at one point was like, "All the dopers are, going, they're it's dry right now," and she uses the term dopers to describe those too. So, and then he gets called a doper quite a lot, but that's also by people who are completely different than him. I love the way that Sortilege, as the narrator, describes the police as this other world, like abnormal world, and that the world that Doc and Shasta live in is like the normal real world. Because
It's
he's like
it's it's well, it's typical like red pill, blue pill
when
conversation,
he
right?
goes to was it the glass castle, the glass house, or whatever with the police. And oh, that was another thing. The idea that all the cops go out of the way to like knock him on the ground and stare at him and know who he is. I also felt like that was a little bit of like paranoia on his part from being on drugs. I was like, how much of that was real?
One of the most entertaining things is when he is like ducking in fear whenever a cop is approaching him, or
Yeah.
when he's being beaten with an inch of his life by Bigfoot. He's always has one hand covering his butthole. Did you notice that?
I noticed it once, the one time at the end when he's in there's like a line of 20 cops just staring at him and he's just on the ground like leave me alone. So there's a few like very funny moments when he's shown the mom played by Jenna Malone, who I've had a crush on since Life is a House. Have you seen Life is a House? Because you're eventually going to. But when she shows her kid and she somehow keeps a picture of her kid at its most drugged out because she's like, who can afford formula? And he goes, ah! Like the scream he gives is
Yeah.
so funny. The way he's watching Bigfoot suck on that black popsicle,
It's a
just
chocolate covered banana.
go to town on it. Oh,
Apparently, I read somewhere that that was Brolin's add-on. Like Brolin decided that he's gonna eat it the weirdest way he possibly could.
well, and he's also constantly eating phallic stuff like that in other scenes too.
Brolin is the weirdest, and this is saying a lot, but he is the weirdest character in this movie.
Right. So I want to go through the beginning real quick because it just wrong foots you, right? So you meet this character Khalil who talks about like the Aryan guys who owe him money, and then his old neighborhood got bulldozed down, which was Channelview, right? And you're like, oh, this is kind of like a Chinatown type movie, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
property issues and
Dude,
stuff.
I love that commercial. That commercial where he's like, and the best view, it's just a fucking sewer drain.
Yeah. Which, yeah, whenever he's watching TV, I'm like, is anything he's seeing on there real?
Yeah, like Bigfoot's add-on
Ad.
for that commercial. I was like, there's no way.
Right. So then you go to Channelview, Sortilege is in the car, then she's not. We get a very funny scene with Hong Chow where she just starts eating out this woman, and like Doc thinks he's gonna join, and she's like, "No, not you! Like, get out of here."
Then he gets knocked out.
Correct. And apparently, Japonicus was like in there supposedly, or like around that. I don't know if we see him walk by her. Maybe I can't remember, but I heard like later on they talk about how she was there. He gets knocked out, and then he wakes up with the biker Aryan Brotherhood guy that he was supposed to be looking for, and he's dead. I don't. We never get
Oh, that's who that
any.
is?
Yeah, and then his sister comes by later, and he like tries to hit on her, and she slaps him. We never get any like who killed that guy and put his body right there.
Wasn't it the cops? Because when he woke up, there was like a firing line.
Yeah, but they think he did it.
Oh, so who tipped them off, I guess, is the person who
So
killed him.
I guess we would assume maybe it was Adrian, but I don't know. I mean, I'll have to watch it. Like I said, I'm gonna have to watch
When
this movie
you
several
when
times.
he gets knocked out, you see the guy that knocks him out for like a millisecond, and it looks like what's his name? Puck?
Oh, really? I
The guy with the swastika on his face?
think that's Keith Jardine, by the way.
Dude, I love that scene where they're in the loony bin. He sees, he goes, "Is that a swastika on that guy's face?" And the
No,
head,
it's a Hindu symbol. It's best for you to not look at him.
so good.
I it was conflating this, at this point in my life I've seen so many noirs. I was conflating this movie with like something I've seen where I thought that they were going to try and commit him and he was going to have to like escape out of there.
Well, it was kind of weird how they were touring him through the facility with like the 3 or 4 nurses behind him.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Do you want to try our facility?" He's like, "What?" He's like, "The bathroom." And he's like, "Oh no, it's fine." And then they're like pushing him over to like the, dude, I love this, right? Did you think about this? They push him in that sauna. There's the guy with the swastika on his face in the middle,
Yeah.
surrounded by guys in white hoods.
And then you have Coy who's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
That was good too.
I don't the full Coy story of like who he's working for, cuz then you have like what, the Vigilant California? Is that what that group was called?
Vigilant California, yeah.
And he's like, who's in charge of those people? That was sort of like a subplot that, which once again, it's based on a very dense novel,
It was
so
the Golden Fang.
they're in charge of that too.
No, because it has to be, because Japonica's dad is their lawyer, and he asked him to release Koi, right, to put him back on the
Yeah.
map. The only way that he could have done that is if he had power to do that through the Vigilant California, which
Actually,
then that means it had to have been owned by the Golden Fang. I love the thing where the MILF was like, "Oh yeah, the loony bin means like it's, whatever for serenity." And then later on he finds out, he's like, "No, it's not Latin, it's Greek for animal with golden tooth." I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
"Fucking hell."
So Benicio del Toro has a very small part in this after he gets arrested for the potential murder or whatever. But like, it starts out with with I don't even remember the context, but Bigfoot's like Fucking ing, and he's like fucking ing. And then yeah, Benicio's a maritime lawyer who comes by and he's like, oh, I've also, there's murders on the sea.
The way that kind of comes back into play when they bring in the Golden Fang ship, I thought was really cool. Also, Benicio del Toro being in this sets him up for being in One Battle After Another, which I love him. I think he's like the best character, honestly, in One Battle After Another.
Yeah, I wish he would have won.
But the I asked you this earlier too. Do you think that One Battle After Another was PTA kind of returning to Inherent Vice and just making that story better?
I mean, you could say it's like a sequel to it, right? But like, it's or a related story years
It's a
later.
related story because uh, Doc is so similar in a lot of ways to DiCaprio's character.
But he's on the outside of it. Like he's not part of the Vigilant California, you know,
Yeah, that's true.
the French 75. So the scene with the FBI is very funny. I love when he's like, "Why are you guys bothering me? Aren't we all in the same business?" And the guy's like, "There's no need to be insulting."
Great. Yeah. Also, why were they all picking their nose at one point in that scene?
I don't know. Just once again, like he's an unreliable narrator, so I don't know.
Well, like the whole nose thing, right? Like you tap your own nose to like signal someone is illegitimate or something.
Yeah.
But everyone, all the FBI guys, has their fingers half an inch up their nostrils. I think that was pretty funny.
So we get a lot of like, it's almost like false flags to what's important in this movie. But we find out that DOJ wants Mickey in Vegas. We do find out Shasta was seen on the Golden Fang, and then Coy yells at Nixon.
Yep.
Which, by the way, we have not even said Coy is played by Owen Wilson, which is a very interesting Owen Wilson part.
Yep. Well, when we first see him, right? So we get introduced to this character through this really graphic story told by Jenna Malone's character about how she was about to bust into this restroom stall to throw up some of this dope that she's been smuggling, only to find Coy sitting there about to take a shit, and to complicate matters, he had a heart on. So it's like what she say? She's like this mix of like shit, semen, and throw up.
Yeah, lovely imagery.
But then we get a reveal through photographs that it was Owen Wilson, which checks out because then we actually do see the daughter, and she has this very like pretty blonde curly hair.
So when we get later, we meet Coy at the party, and he has like one of the best lines in the movie. He's like, "When I started snitching, I realized how often people ask questions they know the answer to." Because he asked him something about Shasta, and then he gives him that quote, and he's like, "You already know the answer to that." So I thought it was pretty good.
When they meet up again, they're like, "You remember me? I was asking about the car." And he's like, "Yeah, with the car with the blue butterflies painted on it, stuff like." I thought that was like pretty fun.
So next thing I want to talk about was Sherlock's sister. It was really funny him writing in his notepad because she like says something, he just writes something Spanish in his notepad. This is also when we find out that she says that Shasta was in love with Puck, I think,
I think so.
or maybe her brother. I think
Yeah,
it might
because
have been
she.
her brother. She
Oh, I
said,
thought it
not
was
Puck.
Puck.
I hope it was her brother.
I mean, Shasta kind of has a
No, it had to be Puck because he had her necklace. I can't remember.
her
I'll watch
her
it again.
necktie, the necktie.
The necktie, that
Yeah,
golden. It was like a golden fang necklace.
no, no, no. That's what you just get when you go on the boat for the 3 hour tour.
I don't know how you know that.
No, remember he sees Puck. So he sees the necklace you're talking about. He sees him when he's in the office of uh
Yeah, and he's wearing the necktie with Shasta's naked body on it. So yeah.
in the loony bin.
All right, so we get the Ouija board scene, them running in the rain. I guess it's like, as Sortilege says, it's like one magical moment when she's like already out the door. So it's interesting that she reminded him of this. But reminding him of this leads him to go back to that spot and then find the Golden Fang office, which I find a little odd story wise, which I mean, it's a psychedelic noir. So I guess that's the explanation. And we meet Martin Short, which is just a very fucking out there scene. First of all, like his his secretary just wants to fuck him right then and there. Like, hey, you got to cut off your meeting. You got to come in here. And he's like unzipping his pants as he runs out.
She says something. She's like, "Hey, your couch needs to see you, and bring
Yeah,
that bottle." Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So then he starts walking around the office and he finds a bunch of people getting dental work. And he thinks back to Jenna Malone saying, yeah, it really fucks up your teeth. So we're supposed to figure out that the Golden Fang, which is also has a dentistry part of it.
It's like a secret underground dentistry union.
Yeah, but what's funny is like, so if Martin Short is part of the Golden Fang, then he's fucking the daughter of the lawyer of the Golden Fang, and then the lawyer's like, well, I'm not gonna say I killed him, but I'm happy he's dead.
A trampoline accident
We never
is
we just
ridiculous.
we never get to the bottom. Apparently it happens more than you know. We never get to the bottom of who's like, or the top, should say, of the Golden Fang, like who's in charge of this shit.
It was that family.
Or is it the government? Which family?
I was kidding. No, we never figured it out. I was saying the family that comes to pick up all the dope at the end is like very mild mannered looking family.
The Japonica drive is so funny. Martin Short's stuffing something under, and Denis is like, "What is that?" And he's like, "I don't worry about it. There's no need to get."
Okay,
No
I'm
need.
confused about that. Can we talk about this for a second? He goes, "What are you stuffing under Doc's seat?" But I
Yeah,
thought we established that that was Japonica's car.
yeah, but it was under the seat Doc is sitting in.
Oh, okay. So that clears up one thing. The other thing is I was like, when did Japonica and Doc switch seats? I guess they switched seats when the cop went back to like check their licensing. That was so funny, right? That's like one of the most memorable lines in the thing is like, "Hey, we have to pull over 3 or more people because it might be a cult." And it's like guys with hair, shoulder length hair, and then the guy goes, "This is a Mercedes, and it's all one color. That has to count for something."
Yeah. No, I think it's just part of the psychedelic nature of it is why it's like funny and like why they switch seats. You know what I mean? Like it's just you just got to accept it, I guess. So
The way Martin Short yells "fuck" once they're being pulled over. That scene is so good.
Short's found dead. He had puncture wounds. This is all in the pancake scene. And then he's like, hey, check for traces of, check for traces in the neck. And he's like, oh, maybe if you hadn't have been out selling dope during chemistry class, you would know that gold wouldn't, is inert and wouldn't leave any traces. And he's like, okay. But yeah, you should have them check for copper because most gold is, has copper at the center of it. And if you weren't out like planting hubcaps on black people, like you would know that.
Yeah, it's so good. It's very good.
So, and then after that, he's like, more pancakes, more pancakes. So then we go to Chris Kylodon, and we've already sort of like completely talked about this scene, so we can kind of keep going after that. But he finds the FBI, he finds Mickey. Mickey's like fucking close to brain dead, like barely can know anything, right? And he's like,
Well,
"Where's Shasta?"
to his benefit, Joaquin Phoenix does look very short in that scene.
Yeah, he's on the ground. He says, "Go away, little hippie, go away." And then Shasta comes back, and this is like a very, it's a sex scene. She's naked for all of it, but it's like a very poignant scene where she left him for reasons unknown, unclear, right? Like I don't know if maybe she was in her hoe phase or what was going on, where she was just like, I need to go out and explore. She hooks up with Mickey, who treats her like a whore, passes her around to other people, and she's just telling him about this as she's playing with herself, playing with him with her foot, and then tells him to spank her, and then he does, and then they have like sort of rough enough for a mainstream movie sex scene. And then she's like, but this doesn't mean we're getting back together, which at the time I took as, this is like a goodbye almost or unclear. But it is
Unless this was all happening in his head.
yeah, maybe. But it is a very sad scene, right? Like you're
It's also
hearing
very cathartic for him, I believe.
coming.
Isn't it for everyone?
It's just sad to hear about what has become of her life. And also like you can take from that if she's in love with Puck or Glenn or whatever, like she's
The,
still being passed around by Mickey, but since she was trying to have the why does she come to report this thing that is happening to Mickey as if she's trying to stop it? So
the thing we never talked about, we just got to jump back to for a second. You reminded me because of her possibly being in love with Puck, which is information the sister's telling him as they're leaving her office or his office, right?
yeah,
His secretary is Maya Rudolph.
correct.
I just want to mention that.
PTA's wife.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, you did not know that?
Well, I knew he was married to a black person. I didn't know it was Maya Rudolph.
We haven't really talked about Reese Witherspoon yet, but she comes in kind of big plot wise here where he goes to her and he's like, yeah, Mickey is with the FBI being held up here. And she's like, can we depone you about that? Which shouldn't it be deposed? I don't know, but I'm not sure. And then he's like, well, I need something from you. I need the Adrian Prussia file. And he's like, oh, I don't give a fuck about that. Like, we look through files all the time. He's like, are you serious? Like, yeah, it's not even a big deal.
You
So he
grow
looks,
up, she says.
yeah, grow up. So then he goes to see Adrian Prussia. And this is, kind of my favorite part where he's like, why are you here? And he says, that's a good question. And then he's like, well, the real question is, how much of your time do you have left? And that's when Puck walks in wearing the same chain as Shasta. And he drugs him and then handcuffs him. And I love the thing that gets him out is a little piece of a credit card that he uses to open that has Shasta's name on it.
Why did Puck intimately kiss him in the nape of his neck?
I think because that's where he's going to put his fangs into him, maybe. So it's like a ritualistic thing. I mean, Puck also smoked a little on whatever he gave Doc, so you know.
I thought it might have been like a gang rape thing.
Well, luckily he escaped. So his escape is so cool. First of all, he undoes the handcuffs and he's so still fucked up on PCP that he's running around in a circle for a while until he like gets his wits about him, gets the top of the
Toilet.
and then hits him with it and breaks it, takes him to the ground and is like, I'm taking no fucking chances, and slams his head until he's dead, and then gets the gun, shoots Adrian several times, and then, did I get you?
You know, I have to say that is the only real violent part of this whole movie.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty either like really hidden or just vanilla in the violence. There's a few bit of like sexual stuff in between, but as soon as we get the toilet smashing over Puck's head, that's like the only violent. I don't even remember if anything violent happens after that, right? I don't think so.
No, so we find Bigfoot stealing the dope, and you're like, what is his motivation here? And then he plants it on Doc because his motivation is to try and crack this case open to, you know, become a big shot, I guess, because in this department he is like looked down upon, right? And we kind of find that out in some like flashbacks where people
I
are
thought
sort of
he was also looked down upon because he works with Doc.
maybe he's not even real. Maybe it's like a Fight Club situation. So then Japonica's dad calls. I love that first before that when he's like hippie ESP Soda just saying that in his head, and then he opens the trunk and he's like, oh, of course he's trying to fuck me over. So he meets Japonica's dad at the club. You know, your point about how like the camera just shows him from like at the waist, and then he sits down and a face reveal. And I don't know if I talked about this on the pod. Did we talk about the new Running Man on the pod?
Not really.
So in the new Running Man, there is a bad guy character. I'm gonna spoil this because I don't give a shit. Like, it's not spoiling a lot, but who wears a mask for the entire movie until the very end, when there is a very serious face reveal, and the person behind the mask is Lee Pace. I'm a big fan of Lee Pace. I think
Me
he's a
too.
great actor.
Yeah.
That's not a fucking face reveal. It's not like Tom
No, it's
Cruise or
not.
Colin Farrell or Brad Pitt or Matt. It's not. I think most people would be like, "Oh, I've seen him and stuff." Like, wouldn't maybe even know his name. So just I
Yeah.
found that as odd as this one. To your point, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree with you. That
this is
weird.
PTA. I think PTA likes this guy and is like, I'm going to, you know, this is why how like I'm
But
going to do this. It's going to be
you know
funny.
what would be fun to go through what actor would make the best face reveal?
For this.
No, for anything. Like for the Running Man thing, for this, like I don't know. It's like he sits down. Okay, yeah, let's do it for this. He sits down. This is the Japonica's dad. The closest thing we get to the top of the Golden Fang,
Steve
and,
Martin.
and it's Steve Martin.
We've already had Martin Short.
That's pretty good.
It's just Steve Martin, and you're like, what the fuck?
That's pretty
And
good.
he plays it completely as serious as this guy.
Yeah. But like everyone I'm thinking of right now is either too old or too young to be Japonica's dad. Because I was like, Ian McKellen would be funny as fuck. Maybe Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck would have been pretty funny.
I don't know that he works there really.
Ralph Fiennes.
Rafe?
Rafe?
Yeah, I think his name's Rafe.
Ray? Ray Fiennes?
Rafe.
He would be good. I think that would, like, fucking Voldemort? That'd be pretty funny.
This was 2014. I don't know if is PSH. I mean, he died in 2014, so I think he could have done this. That would have been funny. But PSH's like voice, you recognize it on the phone, so that's also an issue. It's got to be like kind of
Hey, man,
unrecognizable
I
voice.
need you to fucking stay away from my daughter.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, really? Yeah, maybe. Oh, you know who it is? You know who it needs to be?
Go on.
It's perfect. Ready?
I'm listening.
John C. Riley.
It's like too funny though.
He plays it straight. Also, John C. Riley has been in a bunch of PTA movies where he plays a completely straight character.
I guess it's just like what are you expecting from him in this one? So yeah, I mean I think it's possible. By the way, the guy whose name we were talking around is Martin Donovan, who plays the lawyer in this, and also
Tenet guy?
Tenet. Yeah. So who looks like he's just like a partner at an accounting firm.
Yeah. You know who he kind of looks like is Tucker Carlson.
Why would you say that? What makes you say that? So he talks to the lawyer and is like, how much money do you want? Is what the lawyer says. And he says, I just want Coy free. He's like, oh, is that really? That's all you wanted? He's like, oh, well, how much money would it take for you to not lose respect for me? He's like, that's fucking too late for that. The meeting with just the last little funny scene, the meeting with like the mom and her kids and the daughter who's just a bitch for no reason and then flicks them off at the end.
Yeah, I mean that's like it's like fake family, right? That's like, oh, you know what that is? That's setting up the people that's going to take all that dope back to the Golden Fang. That's so that the cops don't pull them over. That it just looks like a regular ass family.
That makes sense. But I don't know. Just it's still a funny scene, right?
And they
So
kept looking back behind them.
after this, takes Coy home. DOJ takes the Golden Fang ship. Then the Bigfoot scene, which is like fucking out there, right? Breaks his door down, just starts eating his weed in front of him. Like
He smokes it. He
eats
eats the
that,
joint.
and then just starts eating
It
it.
just eats the rest of it.
And I'm like, this
Yeah.
isn't real.
And Joaquin Phoenix begins crying with the most horrific face. And I was like, you know what? Me too.
Yeah, because he's clearly like on some sort of trip at this point and is like way too fucked up to deal with this.
You know what would be funny? Is if that all actually happened, and the only reason Josh Brolin did that is because he knows that he's high and he knows it would fuck him up.
He's just pissed that DOJ got the collar instead of him.
Yeah.
So we are in fun fact territory. So explain the novel. Doc's nickname comes because back during his skip tracing days, he didn't want to carry a weapon, so he carried a hypodermic needle containing sodium pentothal, aka truth serum. Which
What's
he
skip
has.
tracing?
I don't know. I don't think it's important. I think it's like a PI type thing.
Okay.
He has the needle that he hits Puck with.
Yeah.
I was like, is that his? Now I'm like, was that his needle or did
No,
he
that
pick
was
off
Puck's. That was
Puck?
Puck's needle.
I figured, but after this piece of information, a little bit. Skip tracing is the investigative process
Yeah.
of locating a person's whereabouts, contact info,
Yeah.
etc.
I just
You were looking it up too, obviously. So Reese Witherspoon was attached to play the Amy Adams role in The Master, but she had to drop out, so she appears in this. Apparently, they liked her acting with Joaquin, and they liked her in this movie so much they asked her to. They're like, "Hey, let's add more scenes for you," and she's like, "I don't think that's a good idea." And then they didn't, and then PTA is like, "Yeah, that was probably a good idea." RDJ was originally given the Joaquin part, but then PTA decided he wanted to work with Phoenix again and said that Downey was probably too old for the part.
Not only that, but it would have been see if we could have gotten. Oh man, if we could have gotten RDJ from what's that movie with Val Kilmer?
Oh yeah, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. If we could have gotten RDJ from Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in this role, that would have been perfect.
do agree. Charlize Theron was considered to play Shasta, which I guess I could see.
Now I like this girl. I like the vibe that this girl is giving off. I think it fits the Charlize Theron. I mean, Charlize Theron can fucking transform, but there's something very actually, you know when Quentin Tarantino back in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has those actresses that no one like knew the name of on the Manson Ranch,
Yes,
and now they're like the big actresses of our time, right?
correct.
It was giving me kind of that vibe. Like that's the vibe I wanted, and I don't know if Charlize Theron would have. I would have looked at her and I would have been like, "That's Charlize Theron." I look at this Shasta and I was like, I can't name that actress at all.
Catherine Waterston. So that's her name.
I don't know. Yeah,
Respect the name.
you
Did
know
I
who
say it
could
right?
have also done it is Alicia Vikander. Vikander.
Alicia Vikander.
Yeah.
I can see that. You just want to see her naked again. You freak. So Michael Shannon and Jim Carrey were considered for Bigfoot. I think Michael Shannon is like a very good comp for Josh Brolin.
Agreed.
I would love to see the Jim Carrey version of this.
He would have just played it completely straight.
I think if he played it like Josh Brolin, it would have been hilarious, right? Like, and I love Josh Brolin in this too, so I don't really want it changed. But like an alternate version where I could also see that would be kind of fun.
Pancake.
So I was a little uneven when I finished the movie. Reading up on it, I realized that it is probably just I need to watch it more. And as I said to you, like I was like halfway through this, I was like, is this kind of like maybe one of my least favorite of his movies? Is this one of his like worst movies? But along the lines of like a Nolan, a Denis, a Tarantino, their worst is better than most of the movies I've ever seen. So I still really enjoyed watching this movie, and I think upon more and more rewatches, that's only going to grow.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think what we need to do is maybe revisit this movie on someone else's podcast and kind of do a deeper dive with that.
Well, how many more PTA movies do we have? Because we can just later on when we do like the Phantom Thread episode, I can be like, oh yeah, I rewatched it like 7 times since then. Yeah, we were dumb.
I mean, we have Phantom Thread, we have Licorice Pizza, and we have One Battle After Another, which we'll probably do 5 years down the road around Christmas time.
Well, look forward to that. Thanks for listening to another episode of I Finally Watched. This is David.
And this is Alon. And we finally watched Inherent Vice.